from a different star, flying over streets and the broken hearts. But they can't even touch us, we found a different beat. Paradise is waiting and we bought the lead. Ooh, getting caught in the mist, there's so many that never get out of. They're feeding the fears and the doubts.
Emptied out my soul, you've heard it all before. Honest but I know, left these years ago. I was young and almost still can't fill the void. We don't need the past in our lives for tomorrow. Never see the end of the night filled with sorrow. What do we do to love? What do we do to love? What do we do to love? When everything's said and done, what do we do to love? What do we do to love? What do we do to love? When everything's said and done, what do we do to love? 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 When everything's said and done.
Okay guys, so straight in with our dressage test prelim 2. I've got the test sheet in front of me so I can talk you through the comments and the marks. So for our entrance up the centre line, we got a 7 with a comment of nicely active. We then track left and at E, circle 20 metres. We scored a 7 for the circle with a comment of could be more supple to the contact, which I agree. It looks like she could just do with just bending around my inside leg and just relaxing through the neck a little bit here, but lovely rhythm and pleased with how she's carrying herself. We then continue all the way around to F, and here I can just see coming around these corners we haven't got quite enough balance and she's not bending around my inside leg enough, so that's something to be aware of. But then we do F, X, C, which we scored a 7 for. No comments, but again you can see through the turns I'm just losing her through the shoulder, so that's something I really want to be mindful of again. At C we track right and mosey on round to B, where we do another 20 metre circle. We scored a 7 for this. She looks a lot better on this rein, much more relaxed and supple through the rib cage and through her body, so pleased with that. There was no comment from the judge on that one. We then repeat what we've done on the other rein, so we come all the way round to the bottom of the arena, and actually through this short side she's again better around my inside leg. I'm not losing her on the turn so much. We then do K, X, C, which we got another 7 for, and then at C we track left, and between C and H we transition to medium walk, which we scored a 7 for, which I thought was, a nice springy transition into walk. Then we do a change of rein in medium walk, H to B. We scored a 6.5 with a comment of more through. You can see she's just being a little resistant to the contact. She can get a little bit stuck in the walk sometimes. But we then go from B to E on a half circle, 20 metres, free walk on a long rein. We scored a 7. That's double marks for that particular movement. She didn't stretch down quite as much as she normally does. So I think that's because it's on a half circle rather than a diagonal. You then pick her back up and change the rein in medium walk, E to M. Again, she gets a little bit stuffy, so we get a 6.5 with a comment of more over the back, which is completely fair. Between M and C, transitioning to working trot, we scored a 7. And then between C and H, we transition into canter. We scored a 7 for that. Continue all the way down to A, where we pick up a 20 metre circle, which we scored a 7 for. I can just see there's a little bit of tension, but she's maintaining a good rhythm, so I think that's why we maintained a good mark there. We then, between A and F, transition back down to working trot. We scored a 7 for that, and then you change the rein across the middle. We scored a 6.5 for this with comments of more through and more from behind. And then between H and C, we pick up canter, we scored a 6.5 for that, saying again more through from behind. I think she just got a little bit rushed and lost her balance. We then pick up another circle at C, 20 meters. We scored a 7 for that. That's her worst arraign in canter, and you can see there's a little bit more tension there. We then continue down the long side until we get to F, transition to trot, which we scored a 7 for, and then at A, proceed up the centre line and progressively halt between X and G, which we scored a 7 for. For our collective marks, we scored a 7 for rhythm, 6.5 for suppleness with underlined under relaxation and works over the back, a 6.5 for contact, for consistent elastic contact, 7 for rider's position, and 7 for rider's results. And then it was on to the next, on to the show jumping. So yeah, I was interested to see how Megha was going to fare in this. We dropped down to the 75 just so that we knew we were going to have a nice positive round. The jumps weren't going to be big and scary. So the aim of the game was to try and maintain a good rhythm. But Megha clearly had other ideas. You can see she was quite keen. And the fact that the jumps were a little bit smaller, I think didn't help because they weren't backing her off at all. But I was doing my best to try and keep counting the rhythm in my head and maintain that. This jump number 4, in my opinion, she just did not pick her back feet up, so just tapped that one. We come round to here, and I think up until this point I had been maintaining a good rhythm, and from here it just sort of spirals out of control. And I don't remember from this point onwards whether I did continue counting in my head, and I think that's why it then becomes all a bit too fast and not getting that nice round jump over a fence, which then means we start to take some poles. So round that short side there, I feel like I should have made her really sit and wait on her hocks, which then means that this particular line she just completely annihilates because I haven't made her come back to me. Here I obviously did make her come back to me. She still tries to then go long along this long side, but she is listening a little bit more. But overall, I was actually really pleased with that round. Hello, so I'm doing this vlog a little bit back to front, as you may tell. I've already got my hat on, jacket, and I've already done one class. But we are at Berry Farm for some combined training today. So we have done prelim 2 and the 70 so far, and I was really pleased with her. She did a smart dressage test. I don't know what the score is yet, but it was nice enough, nothing really to complain about. And then we went in and did our 70 centimetre show jumping. She just got a little bit too onward bounds. One pole we had was Megha's fault for being a bit lazy with her back legs, which I think is because the jumps are a little bit smaller. She just doesn't respect them enough. And then the other 2 were where I just let her get too forward and I should have made her sit and wait. So yeah, that's where we are with that. I'm not sure of placings and stuff. We're still waiting for, like I say, scores and all of that jazz, but we are due to get on for our second class. So we're doing prelim 18 and the 80 centimetres. So we'll see how we get on for that one. Here we go. So prelim 18, we enter in working trot up the centre line, and at C, track right, we scored a 7 with the judge's comment of could be more supple on the turn. So again, picking up on what I noticed last time from my last test, just losing her through the turn. At B, we half circle right 20 metres to E. We scored a 7 with a comment of more supple to bend, which yes, I agree with. We then carry on round until we get to C and we turn down the centre line, and then at A we turn left. We scored a 7 with a comment of slight loss of straightness, and actually because of where Mum is positioned you can really see where we just had a little bit of a wobble there. So the judge obviously picked up on that as well. We then continue round to B and again half circle 20 metres to E. We scored a 7.5. So Megha is better on this rein to get supple through the rib cage, which is reflected in the mark there. And then at A, we begin our serpentine of 3 loops. We scored a 7 with a comment of more supple to bend. So yes, I agree, she can bend more through her body than she is here. You can see more so on the turns actually that she could be giving a little bit more through the rib cage. And then we continue round CEK. And this is then when Lauren goes wrong and decides to walk when we should still be carrying on. So the judge then rings the bell and tells me that, yeah, you shouldn't be walking there. You should have carried on. So once I then figure out where I should be going, we continue all the way down to K and pick up working canter. But the bit that we do along the long side, so CEK, we score a 7 for once we eventually get there, with a comment of more supple top line, which I think is fair. Mega, bless her heart, tries her hardest, but she can't help it when her jockey has sat-nav issues. So yes, anyway, we get back on track, back where we need to be. Pick up canter between K and A. We scored a 7, comment of obedient trans, but more uphill balance, which, yes, you can see she's getting a little bit heavy on the forehand there and just dropping her head. Included in that mark was our 20-metre circle. We then continue AFM in working canter. We scored a 7 with a comment still again of uphill balance. At M, we working trot. We scored a 6.5, including our transition to medium walk at C with a comment of rather braced to trot. And then we do our free walk on a long rein, which is what I was trying to do earlier. We scored a 7, which again, this is double marked. The judges just commented could swing over back more, but you can see in this test she is dropping her head more than she did in the last test. At F, we pick up into medium walk, and then AEH, we working trot. We scored a 7 for that. Again, watching this back, I can see through this corner here, I lose her. So that's something I then took away and worked on in a lesson following this competition. But then in this top corner, we pick up canter, and at C, we do a 20-metre circle. We scored a 6.5 for that movement with a comment of more supple top line and bend. Again, this is mega worse rein in canter. So again, this was something we actually took away and worked on in our lesson following this competition because it was really highlighted. Along the long side, we continue in working canter. We scored a 7, and then our transition down to trot, we scored a 7 again with a comment of more suppleness. And then at X, we halt and salute, and we scored a 7 with a comment of fair transition. Similar collectives to last time, 7 for rhythm, 6.5 for suppleness, 7 for my contact, position and riders results, with comments of lots to like about this partnership, more marks to come when working over a more supple top line. Really pleased with that. And then it was on to the 80 show jumping. So I was really determined to maintain a constant rhythm throughout this round. There's a couple of different angles because Jess was also filming as well as my mum. So I don't know why we particularly had that pole. I don't think there was any reason. I think we had a good stride to it. We were in a good rhythm. So I think Mega just, didn't quite pick her feet up. But we're having a much better, bouncier canter going round, and she's really listening to what I'm saying rather than just going on her own merit. Now, through this distance, she did pick up a little bit more speed, but we managed to get her back in her rhythm. We didn't let that continue on. So around this corner, I made her really sit back, got her back. And although the strides weren't 100% correct to these two fences, she was still confident enough that she would go, which, previously she perhaps wouldn't have done. So I was really pleased with that. I was determined not to let her run through this combination, and we got a much better shot over those. And then again, round this corner, she really tried to tank off with me and we did rattle that pole, but I had a word and said, no, you will wait. So really buzzing, really pleased.
Finished now. Megwin's been sponged off. She's now tucking into some lunch. Well deserved. I was super chuffed with our second show jumping round. So it was the 80 centimetres. Same course, obviously slightly bigger fences. And she jumped so nicely. Han and Jess were watching, and when I came out, they said, it's like watching a different horse from when I was at the show jumping qualifier for the riding club a few weeks ago. We've really put some time and effort in with our show jumping lessons, some course hires, etc. and yeah, it seems to, fingers crossed, be paying off. She was really, really good today. Just had, yeah, a little pole in the AT, but I'll be honest, I literally came here with the mindset of I just wanted a nice positive outing. If anything was, if there's placings or anything up like that on top, then fabulous. If not, that was the ultimate aim for today. So we've achieved that. I'm super pleased with her, so buzzing. That said, we did pick up our dressage sheet from the first class, and yeah, we were top position after dressage, so we got 68.62%, and then sadly the 12 faults took us down, so I think we finished up in 7th or 9th, so yeah, very pleased with that considering the catalogue of poles. She's done really well, so we'll see how we do in the 80 and the prelim 18. Guess who got a frilly? Megwin did. Look at that nice rosette, Megs. 4th place, clever go. So yeah, absolutely buzzing with that. Came 4th despite my error. I mean, we won't talk about where I possibly would have come if I hadn't have gone wrong. I think we probably would have been in 2nd, but alas, never mind, not meant to be. Our dressage score was 68.65%, so very pleased with that considering I did go wrong. Yeah, overall it's been a pretty good day. We came out and achieved what we wanted to achieve, so yeah, onwards and upwards from here. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you for another video very soon. Bye guys.